Johnversations Podcast. This is episode 18. My guest today is a video producer and editor based in Oakland, California. He's been working as a freelance video editor and producer since graduating from Howard University in 2010. Additionally, he's created and acted in a variety of web series and short-form web content during his career. He works full-time as a media producer and mentor for the San Francisco-based nonprofit video production company BAYCAT. His new series, Sirius Lee, The Problematic Time Transplant, is debuting this summer. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big warm welcome to my friend Theo Hollingsworth. Thank you so much for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Really great to connect with you again.
I know, man. I was telling my wife before the show started, I think I was like 16 or 17 when I met you, or like we had a class together in high school. So it's been, I mean, it's like coming up on like 20 years since I first met you. And you know, one of my favorite things I'll tell you is like, I watch your work through Instagram. I visited your website. I've checked out a lot of your content. Also, you know, when you and your wife, who my wife wanted me to tell you that your wife is absolutely gorgeous. She was like, they are so cute together. But she, you know, I followed when you guys were submitting for the dream wedding and stuff like that. So it's always a really good feeling to, you know, see people that you genuinely have always liked and been like, just, I love this person's energy. And then to see them going out and doing good things and good things happening. So, you know, I really appreciate you being here, man. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to check in with you before we kind of talk about like your work and everything like that. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And I was watching Trevor Noah, and he actually was doing an interview, and the first question that he asked, like, really, I was like, that's a great way to start an interview. But he just, you know, was asking like, hey, how are you right now? You know what I mean? Because I know everybody's kind of feeling a little crazy right now. So I just, you know, kind of wanted to check in with you and you know, how have you been feeling? How have you been doing? Things been good? You know, what's been going on with you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm good. I'm really good, actually. I mean, probably, you know, with like working from home myself a lot, like, probably been dipping into like too many of my vices, like too much, you know, just like taking quick, like, you know, hits of a bowl or whatever I wouldn't need to, or ordinarily wouldn't, you know, things like that. But like, I'm fine, you know, like I'm really blessed. Like, and sometimes I feel like I'm, you know, like if I am down or whatever, I'm like, man, I really need to like have like a bigger perspective on this. Cause not only do I have a job employed during this time, but, you know, I'm employed like doing something I actually like am into, you know, and it's not just kind of like grunt work. And, yeah, like, you know, it's a great work position. Like also I'm married. So I have my wife, so I have somebody to keep me company. Yeah, and she's like it's really kind of a blessing too, because she works at a grocery. She's a co-owner of a grocery store, a small owned grocery store. It's like walking distance from her house.
That's awesome.
So not only do I like get, you know, like I mean, I have like great access to food, but also like, you know, I've been hearing from some of my friends that are like co-working in a tight space, like, man, she works from home, I'm working from home. I'm like, well, actually my wife is you know, like an essential worker. So I don't have to like be crouched up on her like all the time. So whenever we do work together, it is kind of nice and chill. And yeah, I'm in my kind of junky office space right now, but I've definitely put a lot of time into that. Which
That's
is
awesome.
You know, good. How are you doing? I'm good, man.
It sounds like you had the hookup on the toilet paper when everything went crazy.
Yeah. I mean, well, they were kind of out at the store too, but like, we didn't run out.
No, I mean, we had some, like, I went into a little bit of a panic mode, where I was like ordering groceries to the house and like, just like, okay. And then I had like, you know, I didn't go crazy. Like you see the people online that are like at Sam's Club buying like pallets of toilet paper. We had like, you know, 2 things of it just to kind of make sure. Cause I was like, there's no way. like, I just wanted to make sure that we had some because people were going crazy, and it was like, well, I don't know when people are going to stop being insane. So like, let me just make sure I have enough that'll get us through like a normal, like if we went like on a grocery shopping run or something, you know?
Yeah.
I'm good though, man. I've been working from home in my day job for like the last 3 years anyway. So when everything kind of hit, wasn't too much of a shift out of the normal. And then my wife, she works with women who have drug issues and rehab and things like that. So she's, they've been open the entire time. So I will say I am very, very blessed that like I can't imagine going through like a quarantine with anybody else like but my wife. Because I feel like if it was anybody else, like we were talking, like, can you imagine being stuck with somebody like a week before everything happened? You're like, I'm going to file for divorce. Yeah. And then you're like, oh shit, I'm stuck with this person from February to June. Like this is absolutely awful. So,
right. Yeah.
I think, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, buddy.
No, I was just like that would be, I've been thinking about that too. Like if you were like right on the brink of like kind of splitting up, I mean, there's like, I guess you could still like make moves. Like I know people that like moved during all of this. But even past that, like I'd still feel like I would want to, like if I had no one else, like I'd rather actually be like, all right, we're gonna be in quarantine for like an undetermined amount of time. I hate you, but I think I'd rather hang out with you than like, I guess, get my own apartment and be starting fresh at a time when like you can't really have any social like interactions. Like I'm not trying to like get into the dating scene again during quarantine.
Oh my God, man. Well, I can't imagine. I mean, I'm 35 now. And I mean, even when I met my wife, because we've been together like 7 years, like Tinder wasn't really a thing. And there's like some online like dating platforms, but like I couldn't imagine like just being single now and being like, all right, dude, figure it out. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. And I think you're right. I think it would definitely, there's almost a level of like, yeah, I guess I'd rather be quarantined with you, even though like I hate you because I'm comfortable with our situation, as opposed to being like, I've got to now move out on my own and kind of ponder every life decision I've ever made because I'm just here by myself. You know what I mean? So
it might have saved some relationships even. Cause I don't know about you, but like, I feel like with my wife now we're doing more kind of like stuff together. Like just that we just didn't have time for before. Like just like walking, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I wouldn't have I wouldn't have had time because I'm commuting home from work to like have a consistent walk at like 5, like when we're both like free now. And it's like having, some of these kind of unique experiences or, like having to be forced to be together and figure out like new ways to pass time.
Yeah.
Probably like beneficial for some relationships. It might be like a net, like, like we probably had an equal amount of new couples that broke up because of quarantine as like couples now stay together. But I don't know, maybe I'm an optimist. I see it as half full.
Yeah. And I think it goes either way. Like I kind of like to think of like the couple that just met each other, like they've been dating for like a week or two. And they're like, I'll quarantine with you. I like this girl. I like her so much. And then like what crazier way to get to know somebody than like we're stuck together. So you better figure out whether or not we're compatible real quick. So
I'm curious if there's going to be like a rom-com that comes out like next year now about this time. Because it's like on one hand, it's like, oh yeah, like this is a great story. But it's like our audience is going to be like, no, I don't want to revisit that quarantine.
Yeah, I could see it maybe selling after some time has passed.
Right.
Like, I don't know if like 2021, they're like the new quarantine you know what I mean? Like, I think it might still be a little close to home. Cause I mean, it's crazy for me being down in the South. Cause like my family in Michigan, they're still taking this, like the quarantine very seriously. They've done like some social distancing with each other, but they've all, for the most part, quarantine themselves off. So when they're together, they don't feel bad. Down here, man, if you go, and I don't know what it's like in Oakland, but if you if you go to like a Kroger down here or something like that, like nobody's wearing masks. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Like, cause I wear one everywhere I go. If I have to go somewhere, cause I got an 18-month-old or 19-month-old. I don't want to bring that home and be like, hey, enjoy this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So
sorry, my dog just ate a hot fry. I think that should be okay.
As long as you only have one. If you got the bag, I'd be a little nervous. And if it's going to be a problem, you're not going to find out for a couple hours, man. So you know what I'm saying? You'll know when you step in it if it was a problem.
I used to always think that dogs like me. They're just like always around me, but it's like, oh no, I'm just a sloppy eater.
Yep. I always drop something on the floor. So, talk to me a little bit about, because, I know that, when I met you in high school, you were very creative at that point. I mean, obviously, we had like a video production class together, but, watching you, if I'm correct, you did poetry too, didn't you, for a long time, if I remember correctly?
Yeah. There was like a spoken word poetry scene at our high school. Yeah. So
like it was like the slam poetry, and I remember you doing that at the photo galleries and stuff like that. So, I mean, you've always been a creative. Talk to me a little bit about, like, what was it, do you think, that drew you to that? You know what I mean? Like, as far as, the film and the is that something that you've always had, or is there like a moment where things kind of clicked in your brain? Kind of walk me through how you think you got there.
Yeah. Well, like, to doing video stuff. So definitely like a mix of a lot of different things. So first and foremost, I think that my family is like really big on TV, and films. Like I've always, we've always gone, like, our parents have always taken us to see like the inappropriate movies, like even from like, when we were kids. I remember they had on VHS tape, they had like Eddie Murphy second stand-up series special on HBO Raw, and like we used to watch that all the time. They ended up, like taping, like, this was in the day where, there were no DVRs and stuff like that. So like they literally would just like record on a VHS like different stand-up specials, like Def Comedy Jam. I don't know if you remember 90s Def Comedy Jam. That was on HBO. Yeah.
I had like Young Chappelle, and I mean, everybody was on it. Yeah.
And then they would also expose me, like, this is kind of like the height when I was growing up, of like Spike Lee. Yeah. So like we were hardcore TV and film folks, and then really Black centered stuff, which was always kind of like interesting, because I always grew up in, like, I mentioned I grew up in Tennessee, so that was predominantly white. And then in Michigan, where I grew up, was predominantly white as well. But,
Plymouth, Canton, especially at that time, was
it
was a pretty light neighborhood.
Yeah. So I don't know, like, I feel like that I was exposed to a lot of different content than my peers at that time, and at a really young age. And then when I went to high school, I remember, like, like in our video production class, like, they used to produce the morning announcements, and they would cast that to, like, every room had its own TV plugged in. It was a pretty sophisticated system in retrospect, like for them to feed out like this whole like morning announcements student run thing. And I remember seeing one of my friends who made like a really awesome video that was featured, and I was like, oh man, I'm about to take that class, because I want to learn how to do that stuff. So I think the mix of like my family, like, exposing me a lot of television to the kids, and then me getting exposed to this video production class kind of like finally put the pieces together for me. I got an introduction to digital video editing. I got more of an understanding of like the video product, or like video as a career path through that program. Yeah, I mean, it was, I think that was kind of a cool turning point for me. And like prior to that, like, I've done like, I was doing spoken word stuff. and sports a little bit, but I'm not really good at sports. It was just kind of like, oh, that's what like the, everybody in my family does. So I played sports, and then the spoken word stuff was good. It was fun. And I find that I am actually just a creative writer of any medium. But I felt like it was like, all right, this is maybe still a path. The video production stuff is like a path that I'm passionate about, but like at the time for me, maybe just more of an employable career pathway. So yeah, I decided to go to college for it, and I've been making stuff ever since. So definitely just but for me, like what I've started to realize now, I've started to reckon with like more and more now, is like I lean more towards like creating the type of content my parents were exposing me to. So like Def Comedy Jam or Eddie Murphy Raw, or watching Martin, or watching In Living Color.
I loved In Living Color. My dad, it's funny to look back at it now because I feel like maybe that's the reason that I was so drawn to you when I was younger, is because like my dad, Half Baked came out in 94, because it came out, I think it came out against Forrest Gump, if I remember correctly, like right around the same time. I think if it was right around there, but my dad took me to see that in the theater. Like he took me to see Spawn when Spawn came out. Like we always watched SNL, and he showed me like the Pryor stand up, and so it was just like very, very like adult content at a very young age. I think informed the kind of like my sense of humor, the things that like kind of spoke to me. Like I remember the one thing he told me I couldn't see was Clerks, because there's that scene in Clerks where spoiler alert, it came out a long time ago, but when that lady goes into the bathroom, she thinks she's hooking up with Dante, or and there's a dude like that. And so that's why I wasn't allowed to see it. I could see Mallrats, I could see all that, but as soon as he told me I couldn't see it, I went up to the video store and was like, I'd like to rent Clerks, please.
That's random. I guess that makes sense, but it's also kind of like, there's probably like more vulgar stuff that happened in like Mallrats or whatever. Honestly, I feel like it was like alluded to, but it wasn't like you actually saw her.
Oh yeah, they definitely didn't show anything. I don't know what it was about that. But like it just
started like a phase of like, oh man, like I need to like censor my kids. Maybe you just immediately oppose the necrophilia.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Let's keep that off the list. But yeah, I mean, like he just, and then we watched, I mean, I remember like TGIF, man, like, Family Matters. And, I mean, just, I looking back at it now, I'm like, oh, I think that's why I was always like, I like Theo, because and I had no idea until talking to you, almost 20 years later, that I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
so,
we identified and watched a lot of the same like black sitcoms growing up.
was Raw the one? Was Raw the one where he's in like the red leather jumpsuit, or is that Delirious?
That's Delirious.
Delirious. Okay.
Raw is the purple.
Okay.
Leather.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I remember him putting on Pryor at Sunset Strip, and I remember even just being, I mean, I must have been like 10, maybe even younger than that, and I just thought he was so funny. And thinking about it now, a lot of those jokes probably at the time went way over my head, but even the stuff that I did get, I was like, this guy can just go up and say this stuff, like people, you know what I mean, like you and people are laughing and are responsive to it. It just kind of like blew my mind a little bit that's something that you could do and sell out a theater, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, for a long time I wanted to be a stand-up because of Eddie Murphy Raw. I remember as a kid just writing that in like my goals list, is like become like a famous stand-up comedian or something. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, like that's what I was saying about like, now I realize I'm identified more with like these sitcoms and stuff growing up, like, and I saw video production as a way to get me there. But now I'm like, oh, like learning how to edit is a great skill to have. Learning how to do video editing is a great skill to have. And learning how to be a camera operator is super helpful, I'm learning all that behind the scenes stuff. But what I wanted to do was, I guess, be a comedian, but on my own terms. Like maybe it's not being a comedian, but I wanted to be able to like write my own comedy, and I wanted to use video as a way to display that message, right? So I learned all of the technical skills involved in how to create videos, but I feel like I struggled actually, like I wasn't fulfilled because I haven't been able to merge that with what I'm truly passionate about, which is bringing my comedy to the world on my own terms. So now I'm like at a point in my career where I'm like, oh, okay, I need to like stop focusing so much on being like a video guy, and really get back to like what it is I want to do now, which is like be a comedian, but not necessarily a stand-up. You know what I mean? It's like there's a million ways to be a comedian. You know, I could be like a comedian, but just be a painter, you know, but like my medium is like short form video ceremony, you know? So I'm trying to get back to, that's what motivated me to go down this path.
Yeah. And that's a really good segue. Cause I was definitely going to get to this, but I wanted to, I was kind of thinking we might talk about it a little bit later, but since you brought it up, I mean, you've got Sirius Lee that, again, I told you before we started, I've watched the trailer for that like 10, 15 times. And then when you were coming on the show, I showed my wife, I was like, look, check this out. And before we kind of talk about like how that came about and stuff like that, like I have to tell you just the look of it and the premise of this, like blew my fucking mind. Cause when I read the description, I was like, it's like golden. It's one of the, it's so smart to be like, hey, we're sending somebody from the 80s into 2020. And now, you're dealing with gentrification and legal weed and to make him like an astrophysicist who like is also like a party DJ. Cause I know you've hosted some parties as in character, haven't you?
Yeah.
That's great. And just like the look, like the mesh tank top, it's like when I saw it, I was just like, It honestly reminded me of, and I don't know why I am forgetting his name, but what was the son's name on Family Matters?
Eddie Winslow?
Yeah, Eddie Winslow. Yes,
Okay.
It gave me because he had a couple scenes. I remember like he'd be working out or something, and he'd have like the jams on. You know what I mean? So it was just like the look of it, like the retro style in the trailer when you're kind of like showing before the time travel and everything. I was like, this looks so good. So I know that you mentioned like, hey, like you've learned all the technical things. You're wanting to like kind of bring your sense of humor, your comedy, your personality, and I mean you're starring as the lead character, which I think is amazing as well. I mean, is this like your first swing at being like, okay, I'm gonna do it?
Yeah, first intentional swing, I guess. Yeah. So all right. So for your audience, I guess I'll give some context a little bit more on what Sirius Lee is, and then we can kind of like,
please. And I'm going to put the link to the trailer, everything up in the show notes so people can go check it out. But yes, please give a little context.
Yeah. So Sirius Lee is a web series that I've produced. And it's about a quantum physicist, martial arts expert, and electro funk rapper from the year 1980. Who's working in his laboratory and accidentally opens a time portal and ends up 40 years in the future, in the year 2020. He lands in Oakland, California, modern day. And so this web series follows him as he, works to get back to his time. And along the way, he obviously discovers like a lot of differences over the past 40 years. Like you mentioned, like, especially here in Oakland, we have a lot of like marijuana dispensaries. So like, he's like understanding and learning the cannabis industry. He's also like learning about toxic masculinity, right? He's called Sirius Lee, the Problematic Time Transplant. And so like, we educate him on the modern times. He also becomes like vegan. Like this character Sirius Lee is like Mr. T meets like Doc Brown.
I love it.
Is kind of like this character, right? So he's like a genius, but he's also like this random kind of rapping machismo action hero from the 80s who's like really into whole milk and stuff. And he also raps. And so, yeah, this has been a really cool thing I've been working on for almost a year at this point. I wrote, 10 episodes that make up the first season of the show. I casted everybody, got a really dope cast together. I got a crew together, and we shot it over like 2 weekends in January. So I've been editing it for the past few months during quarantine now. And we're hoping to, like you mentioned, like get it out this summer or maybe this fall. We're applying to festivals now. And so, yeah, like, and that, I guess there's so much to this story, but essentially like I decided in this particular series that I created to star in it myself. And that's been cool.
I was super happy about that, by the way, because just knowing you and your personality, that's one of the things that, like, just talking to you on the phone, and then when we got on the call, and I was like, oh yeah, like it's just Theo. You know what I mean? Like that's something I've always is like you've never been like, at least in the capacity I've known you, you've never been someone who's like, oh, I'm gonna try to be this. I'm gonna try to be. It's like I'm just gonna be me and go after what I want to do. And right. I think, I remember, in your slam poetry and again, kind of seeing what you've done as you've gone through. I mean, we'll put up the link so people can check out your portfolio, but like it's you. And I think that's my favorite thing about it is that your personality comes through so strongly in the work that you do. What was it weird for you being like, okay, I'm going to be the lead, being someone who usually works behind the camera? Was it weird for you to be like, okay, well, I'm going to jump out and star in this?
No, I mean, it wasn't. I think the only person that didn't buy in for quite a while actually was my wife. She was like, you need to consider guys workouts. But no, like, I mean, and that's what I feel like I'm, trying to maybe reprogram my mind around like my career at this point, because like I'm actually like, what drew me to this is being in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. So like, I've never like I had some acting classes in high school, a little bit, and I took a couple of improv classes and stuff like that. Nothing like super deep. But, like I just have kind of a natural like comfortability on stage. That's why spoken word poetry was cool for me. I do, like a lot of public speaking and stuff now through my work with BAYCAT. And honestly, and if it's comedy stuff, like I think it would be a lot harder if somebody was like, okay, like this is like a gangster film and we need like a drama. Like I wouldn't be able to do it, but like this, where it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'm embodying.
Cry on cue. Cry, Theo, cry.
No, I could do that. But this was like, and like I was at an advantage over my co actors because I intimately knew this stuff. So it was no problem for me to memorize my lines, for me to evoke that type of emotion that I want on camera. So no, it was great. I really want to try to do more of it, try to brand myself. Like I'm just seeing myself exactly in the vein. I don't even know how to exactly in one word describe Donald Glover or Issa Rae, because like they're the creators of their own content, and they star in their own content. Like they produce, I don't even know if, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I want that to be the lane where it's like, yeah, I'm creating this from scratch, but I'm also like on camera talent for it kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So I loved it. And it was like, also like a part of me, because I'm from a production standpoint, like another part of the reason why I casted myself in that role was like, you know, like I'm doing this. When I want to do an independent project, like I'm trying to get more budget towards these things, but also like, you know, a lot of times it's like kind of like, oh yeah, like I can get you a few $100 or whatever. But you still need them if you want to execute this at a high level to like dedicate their time to memorizing and being on time to rehearsals and being on time to shoots. And it was really frustrating for me to be able to expect that much from my talent whenever I wasn't able to, like, it's like I can't be like, yo, you need to be on time, and he's like, you're paying me like $50 for this.
Right.
So all right, let me just you know, reduce the amount of people that I got to manage, especially the lead character who's got the most amount of lines to memorize and like has the highest level of expectation. Let me remove that barrier entirely. You're never going to worry about my lead character not showing up. You know, right. So from like it helped to inform that, you know, so it was great. It was a really cool experience, and I don't know, I forgot what my initial point was here, but yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I want y'all to check it out, like when it's ready. I'm loving to watch the trailer 15 times because that's a 30-second teaser.
Oh, it's so good though. It's like when he's on the mixing board, and it's, oh man, I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, he's it's a 30-second teaser, and so I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like I haven't even showed y'all the full season yet. But what a really cool thing that happened throughout the course of the production was like, I realized as I went back to write the script, I was like, oh, he's an electro funk rapper. He's not a DJ, he's a rapper, right? So I wrote kind of like tongue in cheek right before we shot the teaser for it. I wrote like one rap song that kind of explained him getting to this alternate time. And we recorded that and then made a music video out of it. And then I was like going back to the script, and I was like, yo, like he's a rapper. Like this whole thing needs to be like hip hop, like rap songs from the 80s and shit. So like the whole season now has got like, there's a whole, like, basically it's a time travel science fiction musical comedy.
Yeah. And I also think it's interesting that like you're doing almost like a dual period piece. You know what I mean? You're like, like this is someone who comes from, you know, the 80s, right? And now we're in 2020 and we're examining both times, the differences, changes. You know, I think on like that's stuff that those are the kind of things that I love, because again, just from watching the trailer, I can tell that it's going to be hilarious. It's going to be something that I'm a binger. So if all 10 episodes come out, like I'm like at once, like that's what I'm doing that day. I'm going to watch all 10 episodes. But if it's something like that can evoke, like you're just laughing from your gut, but then it's making you think, you know what I mean? Cause like if you can tackle, you know, social issues, if you can tackle, if you can tackle having to kind of, because I think I didn't even think about that, but like kind of like the toxic masculinity, like, you know, because this is a guy who's being dropped off before Me Too ever happened, or, you know what I mean? It's like a completely different, it's he kind of reminded me too with like when I was watching the trailer, I was thinking of the from the first House Party, the bully in House Party at the flat top.
Oh yeah. No, I literally, so the bullies in House Party are actually an 80s like R&B group. Like there's a couple of them that were all bullies in it, and they're the group's called Full Force. So yeah, I Googled it and saved a lot of like costume from Full Force. It was a very weird time in hip hop where like it was very machismo, but also very like kind of like, I don't know, it's like kind of like out there clothing wise, a lot of mesh stuff like you were saying, and yeah, it was I had a lot of fun doing research into that. So it's interesting you said the bullies from House Party.
Yeah, it's my wife had never seen it. We were just watching it the other day, and she was like, they're supposed to be in high school. They're like 35. I was like, it's the 80s. It passes. Like, you know,
yeah.
Is Kid's the younger one, right? Or the younger looking one, right? With the high flat top. And then I thought Play was like the rough and tumble one. He's always the
I think Kid is.
I might have him reversed
with the high top fade. So the light skin one.
Yeah, he definitely passed as like looking a little bit younger. And then what they did another movie too. It wasn't a house party, but it was
Class Act.
Class Act, yes. That movie is so, and it's got Tommy in it from Martin.
Yes.
He's the bad dude. Oh, he's the bad guy. It's so good.
Yeah. It was like so weird. Like, cause like they had a whole franchise.
Mm-hmm.
But in the middle of that franchise, they came out with a separate movie, but with the two of them still playing.
like the exact same characters. You know what I mean? I do like the idea that they had to switch. Like, Kid was supposed to play and be like, okay, I'm the tough guy. Like, had to live up to this. And then Play had to be like, I'm a bookworm, because it was so outside of like what you see in House Party. And yeah, man, it's I could definitely see you like in the vein, because that's one of the things I've always liked about Donald Glover. Like, you know, I mean, and we watch Insecure. That's on, you know, it comes on Sundays. If my wife doesn't get to watch it on Sunday, then we're watching it on Monday. And I love Amanda Seales in that show, because her character is like seems like so the opposite of what she's actually like in real life, because she's so like socially conscious and she's just kind of vain in the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
it's funny. It's funny you mentioned Amanda Seales, because a friend just like messaged me today. She posted on her Instagram story that she's looking for like a video editor who's good at editing comedy. And like a portion of me was like, oh, I should just reach out and
do it.
But then like, I don't want to be an editor. It's like,
well, that's true. Yeah.
For you, but I don't want to be an editor. But it was kind of crazy. And then I was just thinking about what I would say if I had met her. And I was like, I don't know if you remember, there's a show on Nickelodeon back in the day called My Brother and Me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know she was on that, right?
Oh, yeah. She was a sister.
Yeah. So, like, if I ever met her, like...
That's all you'd want to talk about?
Insecure, whatever, like all these other things. That My Brother and Me episode, though, I'd actually,
I heard you wrote a book, but I don't want to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you about My Brother and Me.
You're right.
But yeah, man, like that's like with Donald Glover, like he started as a stand-up, and you know, for anybody who's listening who may be like under a rock for the last like 7-8 years, Donald Glover is known as the rapper Childish Gambino, but which I don't know if you've ever seen him live. Blew my mind, dude. He was so good.
At stand-up?
No, I went and saw him in concert. I never got to see him. I never got to see his stand-up, but I went to a show. It was before Redbone dropped. It was right after he had released the album with like Freaks and Geeks on it and stuff. And he was so good. It was like, I'd love to go see him now just because like his sound has kind of changed so much.
Right.
And he's mature. Like, I don't want to say mature, but he's like grown as an artist. But like, I remember like it seemed like, because he was on Community, he was doing stand up, and it kind of seemed like people thought that like his music and stuff was like, I almost like didn't understand why he was doing it. Like, dude, you're a comedian, and his stand up is hilarious. Like, it's so funny. Like when he has a bit where he compares having kids to having AIDS, where he's like, because once you've got it for life. You know what I mean? Like just all these like these compare, like it was just, I'd never thought about it. I was like, that's a really, really smart bit. But to see someone who can like conquer that world and then be like, nope, I'm going to keep going. Like I want Grammys. I want, to go from like doing stand up to, This Is America is just like, it's crazy to see. And I could definitely see you're the kind of person that I could see that your voice kind of amplifying like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's why when I saw, I was like, yes, like I want to watch this because the premise looks hilarious. And then Theo's in it. You know what I mean? Like, and I think just from knowing you, I think when it comes out, I think you're going to have, I have a feeling that you might be doing more in front of the camera stuff. Cause I think people from what I've seen are really going to enjoy it. And I think it's going to give people an opportunity to kind of like lean into your sense of humor. I I did want to ask you, how is it directing yourself? You know what I mean? Because I'm someone like, I write a bunch of songs that are just, they're on an external hard drive because I'm so critical. I'm like, people aren't going to like this. Like I spent like 2 days just kind of writing this song and mapping it all out, and I recorded it, and then it just sits on a hard drive because I'm like, I don't think anybody's going to want to hear this. So is it hard for you like to not be analytical or critical of yourself when you're kind of directing and playing the main character?
Well, actually, one of I don't know. I didn't direct. I actually got a director.
Awesome.
His name is Fox Nakai, and he actually was my director. So I didn't have to direct myself necessarily, but also like because I was the creator and funding it pretty much, like, he yielded to like my interpretation of my own lines, so I felt like on some level I was kind of directing myself, but I would ask him for feedback. So yeah, I guess it wasn't hard. If I were to direct, I feel like I could have directed myself entirely, but I would not have been able to direct my cast while playing this character. It would have been really, really hard and kind of frustrating. And then I also talked to the cinematographer and other people on set while I'm in character. So yeah, I didn't get that opportunity. And honestly, I'm not real. Like, I feel like I wouldn't be good at directing, but I've more like have been playing the producing role and stuff, like organizing people, getting schedules together, and like letting somebody else who's like really about the directing thing take the leap there. So wasn't something I had to encounter this time around. I couldn't imagine, like, I don't know.
Yeah, because I know that looking at the website and kind of reading up on it, I know that a lot of the folks from BAYCAT were your crew. I didn't realize that you weren't directing as well, but I could imagine that's got to be like kind of a weight off your shoulders just to be like, okay, I've written this. I found someone who kind of sees the vision of what I want it to be, so I can free myself up to be like, okay, now I'm going to be in this character. Did you have to, like, because it is so like machismo and because it is so like almost of like of a completely different time, like did you have to get yourself into character? Because there's, I don't know if you've seen it, there's a video of Jack Nicholson out there getting ready for The Shining when he's gonna put the axe through the door, and he's like jumping up and down and slapping himself in the face like rah, rah, and then they're like action, and he goes crazy. So I didn't know like if you had any moments where you're like, all right, like I got to get loose, I got to get, you know what I mean, like stick your chest out a little bit,
Definitely. It wasn't hard for me to switch into character. I feel like I based it a lot off of like people that I know, and then I just added a little bit of a gruffy voice to it. So it wasn't hard for me to get into character. I could kind of just turn it on. It was funny though, because a lot of my crew are my coworkers too, and we would be in meetings at work or whatever, and they would be like, "Did you just switch into like Sirius Lee voice?" Like
he just lives inside you.
Yeah, like there's a lot of times at the series I'm like, uh-oh, like I got my Sirius Lee voice, and I'm like, uh-oh, I got to figure this out. You know what I mean? And like they would notice me in a meeting, miss something, like, uh-oh, like did you just say that? Like seriously? So it took a couple of weeks after the shoot for me to kind of transition out of putting that voice on.
Yeah, you're like Anthony Hopkins. I guess every time he gets done doing Hannibal Lecter, he's got to like go to a cabin for a couple of weeks to get out of that mindset. So I just imagine you like coming home and like talking to your wife, like the Sirius Lee voice. I don't know how well that would fly.
Yeah, it was that was hard. Yeah, man. I'm so excited for y'all to check it out. It's killing me right now because I'm honestly like that's how I'm challenging myself too. Is like I'm used to other stuff that I have on the web. It's like, oh, I just wanted to go out and shoot this, and then I edited it together and I put it on YouTube. I didn't have a marketing plan or a rollout strategy. It's just like I made it and I put it online.
Right.
But with this, I've decided to like, okay, like it can't, like it's got to go through hella rounds of revisions. We got to have like a rollout strategy. So like, I'm like, I mean, it's pretty much done, but I'm like fighting the urge to just share it with people because I'm like, oh, it won't come to the screenings, or they're not seeing it in its final full, like high quality state. And
I was really hoping that with COVID, it wasn't going to be delayed. Like, cause I didn't know how far along you guys were with it and stuff like that. So I was like, man, like, I really hope like they got everything filmed. So at least they can be, cause like, I mean, the announcement for it. And I mean, I think I saw, I mean, the announcement for it was like towards the beginning of the year, wasn't it? Like,
yeah. I mean, I created some social media stuff last year, and then I put out like right around Christmas, like a poster. Like I had a poster design for it. So
and the poster is awesome. It captures like, it really captures like the 80s, like action movie poster vibe. It kind of reminds me, I don't know if you played, oh man, it was a Call of Duty. I forget which one it was. I didn't actually like the game, but the zombies in it like took place in the 80s. So there was like a theme park, and then there was like an 80s mall and stuff like that. And like the colors, the posters, everything they had, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's like exactly what it reminds, like the big, like, like the big, like Full House lightning bolt earrings and like the pastel colors and stuff. I was like, this is super sick.
There's so many cool ass posters from that, from the 80s time period. There's this awesome Roadhouse poster. I need to just I haven't even seen Roadhouse, with Patrick Swayze.
Oh yeah, bro. You got to watch it just for the throat rip.
Yeah. Okay. Well, spoilers, but yeah,
well, dude, it's from the 80s. I don't feel bad.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch that. I was like, there's this poster that was just like an awesome inspiration for it. Yeah, like it's such a cool period, and we had it's so funny. One, I'm old now, like, so I guess is it cool if I kind of talk now about BAYCAT a little bit?
Yeah, man, go for it. I was going to ask you about that next anyway, so go for it.
All right, so like BAYCAT is, my full-time job right now, is for this nonprofit in San Francisco. It's been around for like, I want to say 15 years. Yeah, I think it's been 15 years. We had an anniversary recently. It's like this lady, her name is Villy Wong. She started it. She's from New York originally, but moved to San Francisco, and started this nonprofit with the idea of like ending racism and sexism through storytelling. And so like her approach to that is to create this like dual video production company and nonprofit training academy. And the nonprofit training academy is where I work, right? So I lead an internship, a video production internship, and we hire young adults, and they all have to be from San Francisco. They all have to be low income, and they have to be from underrepresented communities in the film industry. So women or people of color in general are underrepresented in the film industry. So that's what we target for hiring from that internship. And it's cool. Like, so BAYCAT stands for Bayview Hunters Point Center for Arts and Technology. It's like a long acronym. Bayview Hunters Point is like this traditionally or historically like underserved community in San Francisco, predominantly like Black and Latino community, right? So that's where it's at. And my job is like cool. So the title is media producer and mentor. And so what that means essentially is like, I train our interns on video production. But then the interns are not just getting trained, like they actually have to work on client projects. Mm-hmm. So the video production wing of our studio is working with a bunch of different clients. Golden State Warriors, their stadium's down the block from us. And they like us a lot. So they've given us a lot of videos to produce for them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. We've produced for like Super Bowl 50 whenever it was here in San Francisco, a bunch of stuff like, so we always have like clients that we're working with. And so we, introduce them to our video production workflow, but it's also like, not only are you learning video production, but you're learning how to brand yourself as a media professional so you can get your next job. So we asked them to create resumes and make reels and practice public speaking. We like host a bunch of different workshops. And then hopefully within 6 months of it finishing our internship, it's like a 4-month paid internship. We help them to like get placed into their next internship or full-time job. That's awesome. It's really cool. Like I've been there for 2 years now. And from an outsider perspective, it's like for real, how many of them are really getting placed in something really that dope, like right after your internship program? But like I'm seeing it in the Bay Area is cool because there's like a bunch of different companies you wouldn't expect or didn't even think of that were out here. So like 2 people that have hired a lot of our intern graduates are Pixar.
Oh, that's awesome.
Flight to Pixar's office in 5 minutes from where I live right now in the Bay. And they've hired a couple of our grads either for full-time jobs or internships. And then Lucasfilms, their Industrial Light and Magic is like their special effects arm. And they're in right outside San Francisco as well. And they've hired a bunch of folks. So it's cool. I've been in Lucasfilms. I've done multiple tours with Pixar's at this point. Like,
does it just blow your mind? Like when you're someplace like Lucas, like just knowing, I mean, Pixar too, but just kind of like knowing all of the things out there that have just kind of like shaped the social ethos. You know what I mean? Like I can't imagine being like kind of walking through and like seeing any of those original Star Wars props or, anything like that. It would like, I don't know. It'd feel like something that was almost like, like I told you before, I'm not a big religious person, but I think for me, that would definitely be like, this is my spiritual moment. I'm on the mountaintop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's so cool. Like the last time I was at Pixar, it was such a cool moment for me and like film people. We got to sit inside of this theater and they had the editing software open that they use to edit Toy Story 4, which is Avid, which is the name of the software. And they're walking us, like the editor was walking us through the edit process for that film. And like, we were listening to takes of like Tom Hanks and he was like cutting it up right in front of us. And I was like, this is nuts, And so now it's like cool because I got a bunch of ins, like people that I was like, the supervisor of essentially are like in there now. And like, I guess honestly, like there's so much cool stuff about the job, but like I asked them before I even started there, I was like, I still do a bunch of my own creative projects, web series, things like that. Like, can I hire like BAYCAT interns that like work with me? And they're like, yeah, as long as they're not like directly an intern shit, like once they like graduate, like, yeah, feel free. So now I've been there for, 2 years now. And so I've overseen several seasons of the internship. So I have access and I've worked directly with a lot of really great creatives, and not only just creatives, but creatives of color. So now I'm trying to like, it's hard. It's one thing to produce a video or a film, but it's another thing to not only produce it at a high quality, but produce it with intentionally hiring people of color into roles there. And so I'm able to do that, I was really happy with Sirius Lee because not only is it like a story I'm really excited about, but I got to make it with my peers. So everybody of color or everybody on set was of color or like an ally. There was a couple of cool white dudes that were on set too. But they're all down for the cause, and I think that that's really important to me is like being able to like still have that like control behind camera, and like be able to tell that story and bring in some underrepresented folks. So it's been all like, I love that because it's like my work and my personal life are kind of intermingling in that way. And yeah, it's been really fun.
No, dude, that is so awesome. I'll be honest with you. I was telling my wife, because we live together and she listens to the pod. She's like my number one fan. She listens to the podcast every week. So when I get excited about someone coming on, I'm like, oh my, okay. Like, let me show you this. This is their website. Like, they've worked on this project. And one of the things I was talking about with her was BAYCAT. because, especially with everything that's going on right now and these protests and the defund the police movement, which I'm like a huge supporter of. Like cops don't need to have tanks. We need to take that money and like invest it back into the communities. And, you look at some place like Camden, New Jersey, who's already done it. They've seen crime drop by like, I think it was like 56%. And
did
like
you watch that John Oliver last week tonight episode?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I just saw that this morning. I didn't even know Camden was like doing progressive police.
Yeah. Yeah. I read an article. Yahoo put an article out on it that I read. And I was like, this is like, it can work. And the other thing for me is that like, so Kevin Hart has teamed up with Chase Bank and he's going into inner cities and he's, teaching entrepreneur classes and being like, hey kids, like these are the mistakes that I've made, right? This is what I've learned from them. I want to pass that information on to you. So that you can, learn from my mistakes. And if you want to start a business or, apply for a business loan, like, let me show you how to do that. And I know for him, it was really important that it be, either him or a person of color that was going out. Cause you can't, what I mean? Like if you send like, William, the, 40-year-old white Chase banker if you send him down to Oakland to, talk to a bunch of inner city kids, like they're not going to connect. They're not going to resonate. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to see someone who looks like me. I want to see somebody who looks like me, someone who can relate to me. My mom's a teacher. Well, she's a parapro in the Plymouth Canton Community School District. And that was, one of the things they realized that like, hey, we've got kids of color and there isn't anybody here who looks like them. Like we need to get people in that they can relate to. So, as cool as that is, I'm also like, I don't think that should necessarily be Kevin Hart's responsibility. You know what I mean? Like let's defer some of that money that are going to police budgets and fund things like BAYCAT. Let's make that a priority. You know what I mean? Because I mean.
Yeah, I didn't even, and I'm glad I brought up that the John Oliver last week, and I'm glad I watched that today because even whenever I hear the term defund the police, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, we still need police.
Of course.
In my head, I'm like, oh shit, like it sounded like, yo, like we're about to just abolish the police. But it's like, oh no, like, and it's really like, honestly, I think that there's a good argument for like the police are overworked. I think that there's a level of empathy that needs to occur. It's like, yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of incidences that end in violence, with the police are people with mental issues, mental health issues. And it's like, yeah, like, I mean, ultimately y'all are trained to handle it the way y'all trained to handle it. But if there was better mental health support systems in your community, then you wouldn't have to be in that situation to begin with. You know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah, like we got to defund you so that we can allocate it to the resources that can mitigate you, like these violent altercations, like, cause it's definitely, there's definitely a racial component to this.
Oh yeah.
But I think a lot of times it's like racial component mixed with somebody's mental health issue or mixed with somebody's drug problem or mixed with like, some other systemic societal issues that should have been mitigated from the jump with like a better resource. Like, like defunding y'all is really like helping y'all to only have a laser focus on like criminals, not people that you're categorizing as criminals because of other shit going on in their lives.
Yeah, it's like, if you could, like, I don't know, do you follow Ron Funches? Are you a fan of Ron? He's a stand-up comedian. He's so funny. If you look him up real quick, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. He was on Undateable.
I saw he got a time travel short film.
I haven't seen that one, but I have to check it out. But he has his son is mixed race, so his mom is white. Ron's black man, and his son is autistic. And he's like, he was given an interview. He's like, that's my big fear, is that, being autistic, he doesn't follow commands as well as like someone who doesn't have that set of circumstances would follow commands. So a fear of his is that, like, if he gets into an altercation with a police officer, or a police officer tries to stop him, like, that cop isn't going to know that he's autistic, and then what's going to happen to his son. So I'd like, if you take that money and you're like, hey, let me focus on like social work, right? So if it's an instance where if there's a problem going on it's suspected that the person has a mental health issue, or they're having a mental health crisis, like, let's pair that one officer up with a social worker, someone who's trained to do that, have them go together. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's the way that it's set up right now obviously isn't working. You know what I mean? It's, if it was working, we wouldn't see what we're seeing right now. And it's hard for me because I have friends who are police officers, and I'm like, I don't think that you guys are all bad dudes, but I think you've got a ton of stuff on your plate that, a friend of mine who's an ex-Marine, he said, I know a lot of cops who used to be military, and they're going into these inner cities the same way that they were when they were going into Baghdad. It's like, I'm the military force. You're the bad guys. Like, we're obviously doing it wrong. And that's why I think, without something like BAYCAT, I'm sure that, there might be kids who have found this like profound passion or have a chance to kind of facilitate something that starts as a seed, and then BAYCAT allows that to grow into a tree, you know what I mean? Gives them a career and stuff like that. So like, where would some of those folks be without that? And I think the fact that it's something that you devote your time to, because it's got to be a little bit of a passion. Like, I can't see somebody doing that and being like, yeah, I just do it for the paycheck. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be.
So yeah, definitely. Right. If you were just doing a job for the paycheck in the Bay Area in particular, you could probably be fine.
Yeah. And for anybody who's listening, because BAYCAT is a nonprofit, we'll link it up in the show, but we have, if you go in to make a donation through the BAYCAT website, you can actually start a fundraiser. So we've started a fundraiser under the Johnversations podcast. Please, please, please. It's a great cause. It's given people an opportunity to, again, pursue a passion, a career. It's allowing people to make careers out of of passion and something that they really have a drive for. So if you're listening, if you want to support that, please, please, please go to the link in the show notes. $5, $10, whatever. I'm sure that, my wife works for a nonprofit, so anything helps. You know what I mean? So just please go and check it out.
And this is next Wednesday. This is going live, possibly.
Yeah, this will be out Wednesday. What's today? The 11th. So I think it's the 18th. I'm not great at math, man. I just get on the internet and talk. So I don't know a lot of math. But
I'll also share a link with you for an event we're having next week. It actually starts Monday.
Okay.
But it'll be each evening, Monday through Friday. We're gonna have a bunch of different virtual conversations.
Oh, perfect.
Black filmmakers. So yeah, like, if folks listen to this Wednesday, then Thursday they can actually join me in a live conversation. Have you ever heard of the movie Sorry to Bother You? Just came out last year.
Yeah, about the customer service. What's the guy's name who directed it? I'm trying to remember. Boots Riley?
Yeah, exactly. Boots Riley is so he's from Oakland, and he's gonna be on a panel. I'm interviewing him next Thursday. Him and a couple other Black filmmakers.
That's awesome.
About independent, getting your independent productions funded and distribution and things like that. So it should be a pretty cool conversation. So I'll definitely forward that link over.
Yeah, please do.
If anybody wants to check that out as well. But yeah, thank you. I mean, it's cool. And sometimes even for me, I'm like, ending racism through storytelling, it seems like kind of a lofty goal. It's hard to just connect the dots you know, like, oh yeah, like cool. Like if we have black filmmakers or Latino filmmakers or queer filmmakers or women filmmakers, like all of these societal issues will end. And it's like, no, but like, I'm now starting to realize more like it is actually like media and films and documentaries are like a really big part of what shape our mindset, especially at a young age. So if we can actually employ like filmmakers actually care about some of these issues and encouraged to have them displayed on screen properly, it will shift a lot of younger folks' perception of races or sexualities or genders or whatever. Like, there's this good movie. I don't know if you've seen this documentary. It's called "I'm Not Your Negro."
I have not, but I'm actually, I believe it's on Amazon Prime right now for free. And I just found out today. So that's my plan when my daughter's 19 months old. So when she goes down for her nap tomorrow, that's my plan. I get to watch it in pieces. That's, if you ever become a parent, you'll learn that you don't ever get to watch anything all the way through anymore. It's like, I gotta start this part and then finish it. But I'm familiar with it. I haven't seen it all the way through.
I hadn't even seen it. I mean, as a black filmmaker, I'm like slipping. I'm super late on it because I just watched it last week. And I heard a lot about it. You know, it's like high level. It's about, it's a documentary that's about James Baldwin. James Baldwin was like a prolific journalist and writer during the civil rights movement. His contemporaries were Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and you know, a lot of others, right? Like he was homies with these like dudes,
Stokely Carmichael, stuff like that.
Yeah. Stokely Carmichael, Medgar Evers. So like he was writing during this time, and I guess like before he died, like he wrote a memoir, essentially, and about like and reflecting on like Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, and Malcolm X specifically, like from the mindset of that and watching them as they die, and like just like this memoir about like racism. So it's like it's a documentary, but really it's like we hear the memoir that he was writing from a narrator who's like reading in James Baldwin's voice, right? And we hear James Baldwin like reflecting on his early years and his first like encounters of like race and what, you know, drew him to like, you know, his passions. And then like he's, you know, he was born in like the 30s, but he was still like, even then, like, oh yeah, I remember like going to the theater as a kid and seeing like this movie with this black actress, and she was the most beautiful black actress I'd ever seen. Like, and I'm like, oh, like if in the 1930s movies were making an impact on somebody who would be like one of the most prolific writers of the civil rights movement, 2020, we're in an era where like kids are seeing so much content on a regular basis, you know? And so I think it's even more crucial now that like we have not necessarily, I don't even want to say, like, I don't want them to all be positive representations of black people or Latino people or queer people or women. Like, I want to just see more well-rounded representations.
Like realistic representations?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like in a lot of films, you know, especially if it's, you know, a story that heavily involves people of color, it's like either like something like Green Book, where you've got like your white savior, or like your like Remember the Titans, where it's like just super like all positivity, or you have the opposite end of the spectrum where like everybody's a criminal and there's no kind of like, I can't think of a lot of stuff that's just kind of like, oh, it's in the middle. It's like, hey, we're just about real people. It's like, you don't have to be one end of the spectrum or the other, you know?
Right. Yes. And like, that's the type of content that like will make an impact. It's so crazy to think. I mean, I guess we're just kind of a shallow society. I don't even want to say it's a good thing, but it's just like, yo, like, if you see a person that looks like yourself on TV, then it'll have such an amazing impact on your life. Or like, even if you're white, you see smart Black people on the screen, like you're not going to associate them with this thing. I was talking to my homie the other day from Tennessee, actually, from Chattanooga, and or lives in Chattanooga now, right? You know, he hit me up after this whole protest stuff, and he was like, "Yo, like you're my first like Black friend from like elementary school and stuff, and I don't know, like I just need to like talk. I wanted to see if we could talk." And we were reminiscing, you know, we caught up, we were reminiscing, and we were like, remember when we went to Washington, D.C. in 5th grade? And he was like, I remember like going up to like some Black guy, you know, at the mall, on the monument or something like that, and being like, oh, here's some money, like, here you go. Because he didn't, without thinking, he just saw a Black guy in the city and assumed that they were homeless. And the guy was just like, thanks. Like, you know, and like, and I think it comes a lot from that, where it's just like, you know, it's not that you're racist. It's just like you're only shown, if you live in a predominantly white area, you're only shown one type of Black, very few images of Black characters, and that's all you know. You know, like you don't. Me, I went to a historically Black college. I've seen a myriad of Black folks, you know. And I understand deeply now that there are nerds, there are cool people, they're super chill, they're super assholes, you know what I mean? Like they come in just as many varieties.
They're people.
Right. You know, but like if you don't have any white friends, if you don't have those connections and all you get is like a representation from the media, you're just like, all right, they're either athletes or they're like criminals, and that shit just sits with you. You don't think about it, and then like you get in these situations years later. So I don't know. Like I like to say that it's super important. Media and storytelling, I think it actually does play a really tangible part in shaping America's perception of people of color and hope and like how we are treated in the United States more than it probably should, and more than we probably give it credence for. So I'm hoping that with Sirius Lee, other stuff that I'm working on, that you know, those can just go into like that group of films that actually kind of shift that paradigm.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's because I'll tell you, you know, like, and I was talking about this with my friend Matt, who was on the podcast this week, but you know, I'm just like I want to be an ally. You know what I mean? Like I want to be like someone that supports the cause, and you know, you can't do that if you don't give people a seat at the table. You know what I mean? So like, how do you give people a seat at the table, especially in like the media? Like you got to give them jobs. You got to let them write. You know what I mean? You know, you follow Neil Brennan at all?
Dave Chappelle's writer?
Yeah.
I mean, follow him. What are you, like a Twitter guy?
Well, he's on Twitter, but he also has a podcast called How Neil Feel that I listen to. And, you know, he was saying, he was like, look, he's like, if you're in entertainment, like, especially like comedy, he's like, if you're like not hanging out with Black people or people of color, he's like, who are you hanging out with? They're the smartest. They're the funniest. They're the most talented. And he's like, and if you are someone who, you know, if you're, you know, a celebrity on TV and you're like, I'm with Black Lives Matter, and you're giving this big weepy, like, I support you speech, like, you better have Black folks in your writer's room. You better have, you know, Black people working your camera. You better have Black people booking your talent. Like you have to have that seat at the table to be able to for people to hear your voices. And I'd like, you know, like looking at BAYCAT. I mean, I went through all about like the about the organization and watched there's a video on there. I think it must be the lady who founded it, but like on the about, I watched that and I was like, this is just like, it's because it's one thing to be like, I'm gonna donate money, but it's another thing to be like, I'm gonna donate money to a group that is giving opportunity and you're seeing tangible results. You know what I mean? If somebody donates $20 to BAYCAT and then, you know, a year from now somebody's working at Pixar, like that's helping. You know what I mean? Like that's, I did want to ask you too, just because right now, like it does seem at least compared to, I mean, at least when we were in high school, I think you're seeing more. I think right now we're seeing kind of more prolific Black voices kind of being elevated, like with Jordan Peele and Get Out and Us, and then with Boots with his film Sorry to Bother You. Like, is there anybody that sticks out in your mind, or anybody that's up and coming that you think people should check out? I mean, is there anything that does that make you feel good? Is there more people that people should be checking out? I mean, how do you feel about what we're seeing now?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. I'm actually looking up right now the name of one director, Morgan Cooper. This dude is dope. So I'm still trying to get to Morgan Cooper's but I feel like he's somebody that's about to blow. So I don't know if you saw, I think it was like late last year. There was this like concept trailer that came out. It was basically like, imagine if the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was like a drama,
I didn't, but that sounds awesome.
Yeah. It was like, and I was like, oh, like I would totally watch. It looked like a real TV show that was about to come out. It's probably already in development. I saw it, and then like a couple of weeks later, Will Smith saw it and posted it on his social media channel. And I think the guy since then has like gone on to get like, an agent, is kind of like already like got in that circuit just from like creating this kind of like spec TV series script that looked hella dope. So yeah, I wanna like, and it, not only that, but I like saw a short film. Like he's got a dope Vimeo channel, and I saw his short film. Another one of his short films recently. I'm forgetting the name of it, but it was like, I definitely identified with it because it was like this videographer, right? It's a Black videographer, and like he's a music video guy. He's like the guy who's like, yo, I got like $2,000. Like, will you shoot and edit my music video? And he's like, all right, cool. But he's like over that lifestyle. So we see him kind of like on a shitty music video shoot. And then we see him in an interview for an advertising agency. And like, he clearly doesn't fit in. He never went to college for this stuff. And like, it's kind of a white environment. And like, then like he goes on another video shoot. And this time the rapper's got like a gun. And he's like, yo, like it's a real gun. It's like a loaded gun. And he's like, he's as the cameraman's like in this, like shooting from this angle and the gun's just being pointed in his direction and stuff. It was like a 40-minute short film. And I don't really watch short films like that, but I was like so into this. So I would, like Morgan Cooper is somebody I would keep an eye out on. He's already doing dope stuff. I mean, there's a lot of folks out there. I mean, one other, people, I could plug my network a little bit. So like,
do it. That's what you're here for, man.
My director, Fox Nakai, he is kind of like my spirit animal, right? Like he's half Japanese, half Mexican, from LA originally, but like he's been out here in Oakland for hella long. He went to Berkeley and like lives in Oakland. I got him a job at BAYCAT. So I work with our young adults. He works with our youth, like the middle and high school age students, and teaches them filmmaking. We have like the same birthday within a couple of days. We're both like left-handed, and we're both like nerds about film and stuff. So he's like my brother from another month. Like we just have so much in common.
Just that instant click, kind of like.
Yeah, but just culturally kind of different. Like him growing up in a Mexican and Japanese household, me growing up here. And so he's actually like crazy. He's working on a documentary right now, which, he wanted to explore his Japanese and Mexican heritage. And so this documentary is him, like doing that, like basically like he didn't know Japanese. So he's like learning Japanese. I helped him shoot this really cool scene where we went in this all white room. And in order for him to memorize the Japanese alphabet, he wrote Japanese alphabet repeatedly all over this room, just covered it.
Crazy.
And he's like been learning and documenting his whole like learning Japanese process. He booked flights. He was about to like move to Japan for like 6 months and then move to Mexico for 6 months, but quarantine and all this shit happened. So
COVID fucked that up.
Yeah, it's kind of delayed it, but yeah, he's like amazing. Like he's actually more of a documentary filmmaker, but he's also like really interested in narrative stuff. So I brought him into this, and it was also really cool like working with him. He put me onto this book. Actually, I hope I have it. I need to read it, but he put me onto this book that explores the relationship between Japanese people and Black people in America. Like historically, and I didn't realize there were so many connections between Japanese and Black culture, like I guess they kind of just the same thoughts throughout history and like partnered up on a bunch of stuff. So I was like, oh, like this is lit. Like, so he's like one of the homies I would be on the lookout for as well. Fox Nakai. And then I have another homie, his name is Lul Mengesha. And Lul and I met like a little over a year and a half ago. And when I met him, he was like, oh, you're a filmmaker? I have a TV show concept. What if a second sun entered Earth's atmosphere and the UV rays from the second sun were so intense that people without melanin cannot survive, right? Or they have to go underground, right?
I would be screwed. I have the least melanin.
Yeah.
And my wife is redheaded, melanin free.
We're out. So it's like a sci-fi kind of joint. I was like, all right, that's cool. He's like, I want to do a concept trailer for it, and I want to raise money on Kickstarter. And yeah, when I met him, we were like hit the ground running, and I helped him. I directed that concept trailer. Fox was a cinematographer. It went on Kickstarter. They raised $30,000 for it.
Damn.
Yeah, and now he's currently in development on that as like a TV show or a movie. I don't know what he's going to decide to do with that. But his name is Lul Mengesha. The series is called Rise and Shine.
That's a super clever name too. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So those are the folks like, in my circle that are doing some stuff. So definitely check them out. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Other than that, dude, I should, as an indie kind of filmmaker, I should watch more indie shit. But I've been watching so much, like, it's gotten bad. I'm not used to working at home, so like I just got a TV in my office now too. So I'm like, oh, cool! I'm about to watch Clueless while editing this video. I watched Charlie and the Chocolate Factory today. I watched Clueless yesterday. I watched Can't Hardly Wait yesterday, dude. Like,
dude, Can't Hardly Wait. And Clueless, that's they both have Donald Faison in them too. Because
I watched them back to back, and I was
he's in everything.
Well, Donald Faison, and like I thought it was like intentional. Like in Can't Hardly Wait, Donald Faison is the drummer for this band, but
Love Burger.
The lead singer is also in Clueless.
It's oh my God, what is his name? He plays the skater kid in Clueless. Yeah, and I'm trying to remember he was in Road Trip and all that. It's gonna drive. I'm gonna like text you later tonight. And be like, this is his name. I remember.
I love that dude. I was like, yo, and it felt. I honestly, Clueless ages very well.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's a lot of movies that don't age well. That shit ages well. I was actually. They had like misogynistic in there and shit back in the 90s. I was like, oh, like they're using like modern day terms. And I didn't realize that it was tongue in cheek and that they were making fun of these girls so much. When I watched this,
yeah,
I'm like, oh, like they were going in on these people.
Yeah, like Paul Rudd, who by the way does not age. He looks exactly the same. He's an immortal. He sold his soul or something, and he's never going to die because he just looks exactly the same. But I
was going to say actually earlier, you look exactly the same. But I feel like it's less that you like. One, you look great for your age now, but also I feel like you look like a 35-year-old when you were in high school.
Yeah, I just didn't have the beard; it didn't grow in the same way. My hairline's a little bit higher, and that's about it. I've lost some weight, but when you say like you look great for your age, it sounds like I'm 60. You're like, you look great. Are you almost dead? Like you look awesome.
You look great now. I was worried about you in high school.
Oh, well, I put on a nice shirt for you. So yeah, I was worried about me in high school. Are you kidding? So, but yeah, man, we've been watching a lot of oh God, why am I forgetting the name? Did you ever see, oh my God, it's gonna drive me, hold on one second, because it's gonna drive me absolutely crazy.
I can't.
High Fidelity. That's it. Have you ever seen High Fidelity with John Cusack?
Yeah.
So they remade it as a TV series. It's on Hulu, and it's so good.
I gotta finish it up. I started to watch it, and
we're like 3 episodes in right now.
Oh, okay, cool. I was intrigued by it. It made me actually want to go back and watch the original High Fidelity just to see how close they were. It was almost too I liked it a lot, but I also was like, dang, like are they pandering too much? Sometimes if you're not in those cultures, you almost feel like, oh, like this doesn't exist, or they're really going hard. Because like with the new version, it's like instead of a white male, it's a bisexual black woman. And Jack Black is actually an overweight black woman.
I will say though, she is. There's a scene where somebody wants to buy Off the Wall by Michael Jackson, and she like won't sell it.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't know, like I think because what's her name? Is it Zoe Kravitz? Isn't that her name? Am I? The one thing that I did that, because I told my wife when we were watching, because High Fidelity is like one of my all-time favorite. I've seen it like probably like 60 times. Like I own it on DVD. I had it on VHS and I lost the DVD and I went out and I rebought it again. It was like Tim Robbins is in it. Like there's so many people in it. And so he plays it so well as someone that you could actually feel like immerses himself in like those record collections and like, you know, like lives and breathes music. And I don't know if it's because she's Lenny Kravitz's kid, but like I get that same vibe. It's a little weird for me being such a fan of the movie for her to be like, I'm going to send him the Spotify playlist. Cause I feel like that kind of like, you know what I mean? Like those are the little bit, like the differences that I kind of get lost in a little bit, but
would still not be on digital streaming platforms and shit.
Yeah. It's just like, are you making a playlist? Cause you know, you don't make mixtapes anymore. Like you make, so she's just like, I got to pick the perfect song on my Spotify playlist. So it's like, yeah, but I think the other thing too, is that there is some parts kind of to tie in what you were saying, where they try to make it like a little too hipster. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you're obviously in like a really hip area in New York. You know what I mean? Like the best bodega in the city, you know, like kind of vibe. But there are some things about it that like when she calls her first boyfriend's house and like has the revelation that like he married the girl that he dated after in like 5th grade. Like that's very true to the film. And I was like, I love that they did, like, I get excited when they pull from the original and kind of do it their own way. I thought it was good, but
there's one part that was triggering me about that though. I remember now, like there was one scene where like this white acoustic guitar player is like singing a cover of some like soul
Boyz
song.
II Men, I'll Make Love to You.
Yeah, I'll Make Love to You, right? And they're like singing it, and I think that Zoe Kravitz's character is like in awe. Everybody's in awe. And it was like, all right, when are we gonna make fun of this cover because this is terrible? Like,
yeah,
really, really bad. But like they were like so serious. You're like, this is so good. I was like, I was like, yo, like there needed to be more like balance. I feel like she is a black character. I mean, she's a mixed character, but it almost felt like there was not a like black music consultant to like.
Well, it's Questlove though. Questlove was the music producer on the show.
Yeah. Oops. Never mind.
He's not, dude. He's not listening, so it's okay. No, well, for me, because I thought the same. Like that character, I hate it. I'm a musician. Even though I don't play out anymore, like I still write songs and stuff. And I was like, I'm not a fan of this dude. But I think it was more so that like they were supposed to be attracted to him, so they were like, I never liked this song before, but I love it now. He's just so, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's kind of the vibe that I got off it. But the whole time I was watching, I was like, this is bad. Like, This is not good at all.
Yeah, no, that's why I was mad. Because it was like, one, you never liked this, like, the song is not that great. But, like, if there was a version that you were going to like, it would be the original over this.
Dude, you can't even hate on Boyz II Men, dude. Like I used to sing when I liked a girl in elementary school. I would on the playground, I would bust out Boyz II Men and sing that to him, like thinking that like that was gonna get me in. But it was like 4 Seasons of Loneliness or like Mama or something. Like not, nothing that was gonna get me anywhere. Just I was a little butterball kid, working on my choreography.
Yeah, no, that was the one part. But that show was doing that. I need to finish up that season. I've watched.
Yeah, we're only 3 episodes in. I've liked it so far. I think the other thing that we've really been into is, like I said, we watch Insecure. I was really mad because I wasn't mad. My wife's going to listen to this and she's going to be like, you didn't tell me you were mad. But Issa Rae has that movie out with Kumail Nanjiani on Netflix.
Yeah.
And my wife watched it without me. And so I haven't watched it yet, but I was going to watch it with you. And she got up early with the kid one day. I was like, yeah, I watched it. It was really good. I was like, oh, well, thanks. So I have to watch that. And then I've been watching a lot of, like you had mentioned, like, improv and stuff like that. We always watch The Office. I don't know. I've got my little Office dolls up on the shelf up there.
Is that what those are?
Yeah. I got Daryl and there's little Michael Scott and Christmas Elf Dwight. Like we're a big, I do Office trivia on the weekends and stuff. I'm a fucking nerd.
Every weekend you do it, or like you'll do it whenever they're on?
This week will be the 5th week in a row. It's $10 to play, and if you win like $300. So
it's just like a live thing, or is it?
It's on Zoom. Yeah, it's on Zoom, and then you just play. So I'm feeling pretty good about this weekend because it's all trivia. There's 60 questions every game. And then this week coming up, it's only on seasons 1 and 2. So I've seen those a bunch. So I'm feeling pretty confident. But my daughter loves it. Like it's like Sesame Street to her. I can put it on and she'll just like sit and watch it. She loves it. She loves she loves Steve Carell. She likes Rainn Wilson a lot, the guy who plays Dwight. So, and then we watch, have you seen What We Do in the Shadows yet on Hulu?
No.
It's based off of the movie that was done. What's his name? Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi. I always mess up his name, but they're they were the dudes from Flight of the Conchords. One of the dudes from Flight of the Conchords. But they made it into a TV show where it's like 4 vampires from Europe are living in like a old home in Long Island. So it's super. Craig Robinson's been in it. He's in this season. It's super good, man.
I'm about to watch that. Oh, I'm so hyped. I got shit to watch now.
Yeah, man. It's really, really funny. And they're in the middle of the 2nd season now, and they just got renewed for the 3rd. So I'm looking forward to that.
Have you seen? I just watched this week. White Famous. Have you seen White Famous?
No.
It's like random. I guess I don't know. I got to do more research on it because I was like, why have I not heard anything about it? But it's got Jay Pharoah in it. You remember Jay Pharoah from SNL? Oh yeah,
from SNL.
All of the impressions, all the time.
He's so good at them too.
Yeah. He does. I mean, it's like one of those like, basically like him kind of is like a modern day like Eddie Murphy type of character. You kind of follow him as like his like as he breaks into Hollywood, and like White Famous is like a term where it's like, oh, you're a black or a creator of color, but like you've crossed over to like now white people know you are, like you're white famous. So I just finished watching that this week. And it was like surprisingly, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like him a lot. His stand-up's really good. I mean, his impressions are always spot on, but I think he's a really good stand-up, like outside of that. I always remember his Jay-Z. I think his Jay-Z impression kind of stands out the best to me out of anything that he did on SNL. Yeah.
I'm trying to I got to be better because I'm also really good at picking out what I don't like about folks.
Yeah.
Especially in a push this out, be better at that. But I will say that I feel like he does fall back on his impressions like a lot.
Yeah.
like first episode, it was like, oh, okay, cool. I guess we're just doing a Denzel Washington impression now. Like somehow that fit into the story. But,
yeah, man. It's I guess like when you're good at something like that though, it's hard. It's kind of like Wayne Brady. Like he can sing, so like he's funny, right. But then he, like I'm gonna fall back on the singing because I know people. When you talk when you say like white famous, like the white ladies who love Wayne Brady from Whose Line Is It Anywhere? Like he's so good at singing, So
yeah. Also, Shameless, dude. No,
dude, so good. Are you talking about like with Frank Gallagher and?
No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about the Don Cheadle show where he's like an 80s.
Black Monday.
Black Monday
with Paul Scheer.
Yeah,
I've seen like the first 2 episodes. I don't have Showtime, but I need to. I love Paul Scheer. He's got a podcast called How Did This Get Made, where they just talk about like terrible movies. It's so good. It's so good.
Man, you put me on right now, but I was sending it. Oh yeah, you're gonna send it to me on Wednesday. Cause I'm like, I gotta write down.
Oh, I'll send you the links. You got my number. I'll text you and let you know. But yeah, it's really good. They do all sorts of stuff.
What's his name? But I was just gonna give you a hack. I mean, I don't know if it's a hack, but like, I don't have Showtime either. But do you have Amazon Prime?
I do. Is it on Amazon Prime?
Dude, like all these shows. Like I've been watching Shameless, White Famous. Yeah, they have like a lot. Like I guess if you have a Amazon Prime, like somehow you also have like Showtime or something too.
I'll have to check it out because I thought you had to add it as like a subscription. But maybe they're doing, because of the quarantine and everything there.
Yeah. Well, check that out. Let me know what you find.
And Amazon, if he doesn't have a subscription, don't take it away.
Right. let him or it might be that I just clicked something and forgot that I'm paying for this.
Do that. I got Quibi when it came out because they were putting out new episodes of Reno 911, and it was 3 months free. Yeah. If you it's weird because the episodes are only like 7 minutes long, but Quibi is all like you're supposed to watch on your phone. So like you can't cast it anywhere. You can't do anything like that. And it's still, it's all the original cast. And then it's still super, super funny.
Dude,
but it's
that's nuts.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if it's going to catch on the way that they're hoping it is. Like everyone's like, I'll watch stuff on my phone if I'm like somewhere where I have to watch, if I'm like killing time somewhere, but I usually want to be like sitting on the couch, like comfortable. If I'm going to watch a movie or watch like a show and I'm at home, like I don't want to be like, oh, let me sit on my couch and watch this episode of Reno 911,
It won't let you cast on your TV or anything?
Can't cast anything. Nope. It's like they want you to watch it on your phone.
Impressive. Okay.
It's weird.
Well, I really want to check it out. I'm mad that they haven't advertised to me Reno 911. I might have to do it now. Because it's like, honestly, like when I heard about Quibi, I was like, oh, that's actually probably the ideal platform. I don't know where this is going to end up. Right now, I'm just getting in the festivals and seeing how Sirius Lee can be distributed. But like every episode is 4 minutes or less, right? You can watch the entire season in 40 minutes right now. And I'm like, that's like Quibi would be all about that.
Oh, yeah.
So I would love to reach out to them if it's like to their standards. But damn, that's so
I mean, for I think for something like that, like I think for like new creators and stuff like that as like a platform to be like, hey, this is like Verizon used to have a platform called Go 90, and they used to do they used to do like these like documentaries. Like I watched this there was a YouTube kid who he was like a gamer, and he used to like freak out. Like his dad would run over all his video games with a lawnmower, like, but it was all staged. Like he had his family sign contracts, and his like whole life was essentially like everything he was putting online. They were all like playing characters. So the documentary is basically how he got his family to do it, like how much money he made from YouTube advertising, like how, like, if he wrote that his parents were getting divorced, like they had to, like, they were still together, still loved each other, but because they were under this contract, like they had to live in separate places and pretend like they were divorced. Because for him to sell this on YouTube as his life, it had to look real to like the people in the town that he lived in and all sort. Because he had like, so I think things like that for like interesting, unique content works like really well. But like, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to be like, I want to watch this on my TV. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you know,
I'm getting old because like I don't know. I'm just kind of like, there's only so far into the web thing I'm going to go. I still want to see them like traditional.
I just want to sit on the couch with an Afghan and stay warm and watch television.
Right. Sometimes I like that non-snack size content. I mean, a lot of times I do, dude. I'm like,
I could see something like Sirius Lee. I mean, based on what I've seen, again, I haven't seen any like full episodes or anything like that, but the concept to me seems like something that could definitely for sure get picked up for festivals. But I could also see it being picked up to be like developed into like a legitimate like 30-minute episodes, or like even like a full length, like a feature. You know what I mean? Like it's like I said, the idea and the concept of it. Like I laughed just reading it. Like when I was going through the description, I was just in my living room just cracking up, and I was like, "This is going to be so good! Like it's going to be awesome."
Have you ever seen Black Jesus on
Adult Swim?
Yeah,
I've seen a couple episodes. I haven't seen a lot, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I shared it with my brother the other day, and that was kind of the first thing that came to his mind with the series. It's very much in like that kind of realm. Like I don't have a budget for fucking explosions and crazy special effects. Like it's very much grounded in very much like sitcom, like 80s, early 90s cheesy sitcom vibe, whenever you get into it. But with just a lot of like kind of dialogue heavy kind of sense of humor. So for me, like Adult Swim or maybe Comedy Central would be like those networks for me, but it's almost like, I don't even know if kids are in, like, do kids watch Comedy Central anymore? Like,
I think Comedy Central is weird from like, because like, you know, and I've never worked for him. I don't have my feet, but from everything that I understand about him it's very much like corporate dudes in suits being like, this is funny, this is not funny. You know what I mean? Like, I guess when Chappelle Show like first came out, they were, you know, they played him the sketches and the people in the boardroom were like, these aren't funny. And it's like, well, can you like at least let us play it to the audience and see if they think it's funny? Right. And then they said, Neil Brennan said that, you know, the first couple episodes of the first season, they would be like, this isn't funny. The crowd would love it. And they eventually were like, okay, do whatever you want to do. Like, you know, obviously we don't know, but I guess from what I understand, like a bunch of executives there just got like cleared out because it's.
There's some black people I'm doing like, you know, behind the scenes, like industry research now, trying to figure out who's on board or like who I can reach out to. There's some black folks and women like in high up positions there now. It's like, it's almost a little like defeating because they're our age. And they're like VP of like development at Comedy Central. And they're just like, how did you guys? Yeah. How did I miss like? But I mean, there's some diversity up in there now. There was this show because I haven't had cable in so many years. So whatever I catch on Comedy Central is legit from like what I see on YouTube or whatever's on Hulu. But there was this show back in the day. Was it called The Detroiters or something?
Yes. Yep.
I was like, this is amazing. And it was like a black and white dude. It'd be like if we had a show.
Yes. Yeah. And oh my God, what is that white dude's name? He has on Netflix, he has a sketch show. It's Tim something. And it's so good. Yeah, and like, and Jason Sudeikis from SNL was the producer. Like Jason Sudeikis and Lorne Michaels were the producers of that. So it's like it feels like every once in a while, Comedy Central has something that's like really good, but they don't know what to do with it, and then it just like disappears. You know what I mean? Now they do have a new show because I have the Comedy Central app, and the reason I have that is they put the Daily Show. They put the Daily Show up every day, and like you don't need a subscription or anything like that, so like you can just watch it. But they have a show on there. What's it called? Called Robbie. And I was actually thinking when you were talking about Quibi. So Robbie is this comedian Rory Scovel, and he wrote this where like I always it's so hard for me to say her name without lisping. Sashir Zameda. She was on SNL. She's in it. Yeah. So he's his dad's like this big time high school basketball coach in this town. He's like a local hero, and he wants to take his job. And then he finds out that Sashir Zameda was his ex-girlfriend. He finds out that he has like a 10-year-old kid that he didn't know about. So he's like, he doesn't get the job, but he coaches like a kid's Catholic school team, and he finds out that his son is like super good at basketball, like just draining threes. He's like, my mom won't let me play because it gets in the way of my schoolwork. And he's like, you're going to be on my team. So they put the first episode out on Comedy Central, but then you could go in and stream the full series for free, whether or not you had the cable package or anything like that. So like, I think it's cool. Like something like Sirius Lee, if it got opted into like, longer episodes, it's like, yeah, put it on TV, but then let people just go get it for free. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really excited. What I'm really the most excited for would be, is going to be talking to you like a year after it comes out and being like, what are you doing now? You know what I mean? So like what kind of, because again, I think when it comes out, it's going to be really well received based on what I've seen. And I'm just like, I'm really interested to see what other kind of doors it opens or what you're going to be working on like a year from now. I'm like, I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I hope so, man. I just, I'm, I don't know. I guess I'm getting conscious about, I'm 33. I've been doing comedy stuff for a while. And I'm just kind of like, I haven't really, I can't be mad at myself because I haven't really put myself out there to really plunge into the entertainment industry, because I was so fixated for so long just being a dope editor and showcasing my reel and thinking I could get in that way. But now I'm just anxious, and as much as I love BAYCAT, and BAYCAT knows, but like ultimately my goal would be to, at minimum, be like a writer on a comedy television show, but it would be great to like to have the wholly created, to have a show and, be a Donald Glover, Issa Rae, like somebody like kind of front and behind the camera. So I'm hoping in a year or two that'll be the case, but like it's such a busy ass industry out there. And I guess at this point in my career, I'm just like, happiness, I guess I've heard that quote about like happiness is just like really like about like tempering your expectations. So happiness is the goal, not necessarily like being fame or money or any of that. It's just like so like I don't have any expectation. I just want to get it out there, and I'm hoping that it's well received. And I'm gonna, regardless of what happens, it's like write episode 2, write a feature, just churning stuff out. If I have the personal finances, I'm gonna keep trying to create independent content out there, man. I'd be like you.
Like, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, man, like, you know, with the show and kind of like what you were talking about before with like stuff you put out in the past, like, you know, I played in bands forever. Like we were playing, 3-4 shows a week, and recording records and stuff like that. And then I met my wife and, the band kind of like slowed down. I met my wife. I ended up moving to Nashville because this is where she's from and her family's from. And I was just like, man, like I miss putting stuff out you know what I mean? Like I just miss, and maybe only, 60 people listen to this episode. But if, 5 of those people are like, hey, like I really connect with what I'm hearing, or, oh man, like if Theo can put together a web series and put it out and just say like, hey, I'm going to do this and allow himself to be him. You know what I mean? Like maybe somebody's listening who that will kind of trigger them to do the same thing. You know what I mean? So right. I'm kind of like that, where I was like, I didn't really have a plan. I just made like here's what I think the logo is going to be. And I started recording, and I'd actually bought everything before my daughter was born. And I was like, oh, like it won't be hard to do it. Like she's, she'll be here, but it won't be hard. And then she came and I was like, oh yeah, I'm not doing anything anytime soon. So I didn't start. I mean, I didn't start until probably she was after a year old. Cause I was like, so everything was just kind of sitting in the office, and I was like, well, eventually I'll get around to it. So
that's good though. I mean, I resonate so much with that. Like, cause it's just, it's not about, I'm gonna just keep doing it. I respect the podcast game, and I honestly just respect, adult males that has like bigger obligations now, children, wives, mortgages, it's like you can honestly, like you could just fulfill those expectations 100%, and nobody's going to challenge you. Nobody's going to ask for more, they honestly might, whenever you do those things, but you also pursue some type of creative dream or aspiration, they might actually pick you more for doing that. It's like, what are you doing this creative thing for? Like, you got a family to raise. Like, you just need to keep your head down. You need to make sure that they're fed or whatever. So it's like, I definitely identify with you in that. Like, I'm obviously going to fulfill my obligations as a husband. We're trying to have a kid right now too. And as much as I have the energy for it, like I'm going to always continue to pursue some type of, like some kind of creative passion, like consistently. Like I've been trash at video games, and I'm so glad about that on some level.
Could like, you just be like,
yeah, I would always have just that thing to do, and that thing wouldn't be pushing me or challenging me to like get better at some video game thing. But like, I'm like, I actually have an addictive kind of personality. So like, if I were good at video games, I would like, that would be the thing that I do. So like,
yeah, I mean, I'm there with you. It's like, I was always so glad that I'm thankful. You remember Jeff Klein? Do you remember him at all? I'm so thankful for him, because I met Jeff when I was in 3rd grade. And if he's listening, what up, Jeff? He just moved back to Michigan, got a house and stuff not too long ago. But he had a guitar, and I was like, that is so cool. Like I want, and like, because I knew him and got to play around on his, like I told my parents I wanted one, and my parents, it's like, so that was something that I could pour that energy into, where at least now I have a skill. You know what I mean? Like I can play Baby Shark for my daughter, and she's like mind blown. You know what I mean? Like it's something that, it's something that, when I have grandkids or something like that, like I'll be able to like play it. So, I could be, building computers or playing video games or something like that, but to kind of focus into something that's going to kind of allow me, even if it's just with my family, kind of allow me to share that. And then that was a big thing with the podcast too, is like, right now I've got your episode 18. So I'm just shy of 20. Heaven forbid if something happened to me tomorrow, I got hit by a bus. You know what I mean? I've got 18 episodes worth of me talking about my life with people that I find interesting and things like that, that she would be able to go back and listen and be like, oh, I've got some kind of sense of who my dad was. You know what I mean? So, not hoping nothing happens, but.
Yeah. I mean, Will, you're going to die one day, dude. You should also, but you should, that just made me think about that Pixar movie that just came out. The one with the like trolls and shit in it.
Yes, I know which one you're talking about. We started watching it with my daughter. It's the one that came out right to came out on video on demand, right? Because
I saw it at Pixar's headquarters in a free screen that they had. But yeah, like that's exactly like, I mean, because in that movie he like, not to spoil it or anything like that, but like his dad passed and he gets to listen to like one video that he has of him, and it's like, yeah, like, that's absolutely, I feel like that's so cool. I want to, like I still have a close relationship with my parents, but I don't really know younger them or creative them because that stuff just wasn't well documented. And now it's like, yeah, like my kid's gonna have like they don't need to watch TV at a certain point. Like they can just watch all the stuff that I put out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just like I don't know, man. Like I've wanted to be a platform for people with like important things to say, or again, like kind of stories that maybe somebody will listen to and be like, oh, like I have my friend Matt Satterfield on, and he's a cinematographer here in the Nashville area. So, he was like, I went to college and I thought, going to college, I was going to get out and then like just get a job and be working with cameras and setting up lights. And they're like, nah, man, like go get the tape. And he's like, I don't know which kind of tape. There's like 30 different kinds of tape. You know what I mean? And like, they're like, go move the cattle, tell them to move the cart or the cow truck that like carries all the generators and stuff when they're working on, and he worked on 42, the Jackie Robinson story, and all sorts of stuff. But it's like, my goal is, maybe somebody listen to his episode or listen to your episode and just kind of be like, oh, like these are things that like people can do. And like, I didn't know how to do it. And so I'm listening to people who have gone through it and hopefully people find it interesting and hopefully people, somebody feels moved by it and it pushes them to do what they want to do. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing. I did want to ask you one other thing kind of before we wrap everything up, but so you went to Howard, right?
Yeah.
And that's where you met your wife?
I did.
It's Andrea, right?
Andrea.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure. I was like, when I saw it written out, I was like, it could be either or. So I figured I'd ask. I wanted to ask you because from what I understand, like you guys met in college. It was like a college sweetheart thing. You guys got married. What was it, like 2 years ago now?
3 years ago.
3 years ago? Okay. Yeah. Because you got married. Me and Kara just celebrated our 4 year. So like you were the year right after us. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to talk to you about, and we're going to put a link to it in the show because like I told you, my wife was watching. She was like, they are so cute together. Like, this is absolutely adorable. Yeah. But you have a video, and I'll be honest, I found it on the Esquire site, and then it was on the Ebony site as well. I was on
the Esquire site now too.
Yeah. Nice. I was like, this is, and it was easier for me to find it there than it was for me to actually find it on YouTube. I was like, what the hell? But so for people who aren't familiar. Now, to make sure I'm understanding, was this what you guys played for your first dance at your wedding? If I understand correctly?
Yeah, exactly. So we opted to, like for everybody's first dance. I always feel like it's kind of awkward unless it's some kind of choreographed thing. And I'm not good enough at dancing to do a choreographed thing. So we said, with me having a film background, we're like, let's make a music video to play during our first dance. So that's what this video was. It is. I want to run down the song. So it's Marvin Gaye, and then Method Man and Mary J. Blige, and then it is Nas and Amy Winehouse. And then there's Common, and then was there one more? What was the last one? No, I think that was it. Yeah. Okay. So the original "You're All That I Need to Get By" by Marvin Gaye, followed by the remix version from the '90s, "You're All That I Need to Get By" with Mary J. Blige and
Can I tell you something? So when the original Marvin Gaye came on, I was like, that's cool, but like that meth version with Mary J. Blige is so good. And then after that first part cut and it right into it, I was like, oh yes. I was like, and I was laughing so hard because you're doing the just like the arm bobbing. And I was like, that's what I do when I dance. And my wife looks at me the exact same way. She's like, don't do that. She goes, I'm all shoulders every time. She's like, stop it. What are you doing?
Yep. That's all they do. Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was, so I want to like so obviously you're like, hey, I'm not going to do like a choreographed dance or anything like that. But like, kind of like walk me through, like, what was that like when you presented it to your wife? Like, was she on board or was there any convincing or?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, of course. I mean, she's on board for most of these creative projects. So like, I think, it was crazy because like a year before we proposed or a year before we got married, I had the idea and it was going to be maybe like our engagement announcement video. And I came tight with like a plan, right? Like I wanted to make this music video or this mashup of these 4 music videos. And so I considered a storyboard, but I got like samples from all these different videos that I wanted to like pay an homage to. I put that into Adobe Premiere and I edited that together with a song. And I was like, yo, Andre, you want to do this? I was like, yeah, that's cool. But then like, it just kind of died down. But then like, we brought it back up as our first wedding thing. And I was like, yo, let's do this. Like, I have everything we need to do this. So, I mean, yeah, like I sat on like a storyboard. It's honestly, the storyboard made it really like easy. Like the Marvin Gaye song, I don't think there was a music video from that, but I like looked at this John Legend music video and I just like took screenshots from that. So like we just shot for shot.
Yeah, like when you're with the Meth and Mary J. Blige, when you guys are up on the rooftop, I was like, oh, like yes, that's exactly, you know what I mean? Like, like kind of, I really like that you're throwing, like it's shot for shot, but it's like it's because everything, the articles that I saw was like it was like a tribute to Black love and like Black music, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it captured that very, very well, as like especially like the Amy Winehouse when your wife's doing the Amy Winehouse lip sync, you know what I mean, and like getting ready to go out and stuff. I was like, it I don't know, man. I watched it like 4 times and I played it for my wife. I was like, this is so sweet. This is so cool.
Yeah. I mean, and that it was cool. I feel like I got on the airplane. I posted it right before I got on the airplane to South Africa for a honeymoon. And when I got off, like this journalist that I went to college with from Ebony was like, yo, like we love this. And like there was all these views on it just on Facebook and we got it played on there or put it on Ebony. I guess it's on Esquire now. So I want to find that link. That was cool. I mean, and honestly, like I could fall back to doing that at some point. Maybe whenever, like if I don't hit like my initial goals, like I love wedding videos, but I don't love shooting a wedding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, how can I still celebrate somebody's love? And it's like, yo, like, that's a business in itself. Give me you and your partner's 4 favorite songs, and I'll create a little music video montage starring the 2 of you and put that out. Like that, It's like, I love that too, because it was never about like getting discovered or getting huge numbers. And I think that really is how it, those are the things that kind of have success. It's just like purely from the heart.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, I don't know, man. It was something that was, you could tell a lot of thought went into it. It was something special, like for you and her to, and when I read the article as far as like, what it was for, because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I didn't know if it was like an announcement or something like that. I read the article and it was, for your first dance. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like you did something special for you that you could share with like your family and friends. So to see something like that get picked up, and I don't know, man, maybe too, it's just because of like all of the all of the sad shit that you see all the time now. You know what I mean? Like you can't open your phone without seeing some terrible video or like, some like sad story or people being like, don't tear down those monuments. It's history. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. So like to see something like that, where it's like, oh my God, like this came from like, just like a place of love and two people caring about each other and wanting to do something fun. And it's like getting picked up by national papers and magazines and getting tons of views. I was like, that's the stuff right now where I'm just like, that's like what helps me sleep at night, honestly, right now. So I think that's why I watched it so many times. I was just like, oh man, that's just it's so cool to number one, it's cool to see that like you can tell in that relationship or in that video that you guys really vibe well together. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have chemistry with somebody, you're not going to pull that off. You know what I'm saying? Like it's going to be very awkward. And it seemed like very natural. So I was like you could just tell that like that connection was there. You know what I mean? And like I say, it just gave me the warm and fuzzies, man. Maybe I'm a bitch, but I was like, I do this. So
thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's nice. You forget about those videos sometimes, and it's cool to hear folks that it's still like, enjoyable for they're watching it, 3 years later. So
yeah, man. Well, I just wanted to say, I mean, we've been going about 2 hours now, and I just want to say thank you for coming on the show and spending time. I really do appreciate it. If people want to check out your work, please guys we'll have it in the show notes and everything, but check out theohollingsworth.com. It's got has the full portfolio. There's actually a separate page on the website that is all about Sirius Lee, the Problematic Time Transplant. You can check out the 30-minute teaser trailer there. I'm super excited. Would you be willing to come back on, like once it comes out, kind of talk about the feedback? I mean, if you ever want to come back on, man, I love this having you on has made me like, it's just something that's like, man, like I like miss talking to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you ever want to come back, I'd absolutely love to have you on and talk about what's going on, when it drops and everything.
Yeah. Please. It's crazy actually. Like, yes, I would love to come back. As I've been trying to figure out like, hey man, how can I get PR around this? I had been planning on reaching out to you. Like, hey, maybe I can be on your podcast if you're interested, but I don't know if you'd be like, I don't know, fuck. I haven't talked to this guy in years, so I'm really happy that you.
No, man. Anytime you want to come on, dude. If you got anything you want, like I said, it's not like I ain't Joe Rogan or none of that shit, but I got people. I got people listening. So, and like I said, I like supporting. I really like supporting people with big ideas and people who are passionate about what they do, and that's always been you. So, if you ever want to come back on, man, I'm always 110% more than happy to have you.
Appreciate you, bro. Yes, I'll be back, and I'm gonna share this out, and try to get you some more followers, and let's stay in touch, man. I mean, I haven't been to Tennessee since I moved when I was 13. So
dude, come on down. We got a spare. We're recording the podcast out of the spare bedroom right now. I'll just move the stuff. We got a bed in here.
We're in the same. I feel like we're just like on different coasts, like in this. Literally my office, but also like a spare bed.
Is yours like the catch-all room? Because I know like here it's like, something needs to get put somewhere. We don't know where to put it. Just throw it in the office, and then I'll figure out where it goes.
Exactly.
But well, we're gonna wrap up. Will you stick around for me after we're done recording for a minute?
Sure thing.
Cool. Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Remember, theohollingsworth.com. Check out the BAYCAT link that's in the show notes as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next week for episode 19.